Welcome to the Growth Mindset Center, YouTube. Please take a moment of your precious time and generosity to click the subscribe button, comment. Thank you very much. Please listen to the next great content. Ever wonder why kill that weak version of yourself and unleash your true potential speech feels more relevant the older and wiser we grow? What if the truth inside, kill that weak version of yourself and unleash your true potential speech, is what you've needed all along? This isn't just advice. It's a wake-up call to realign your power, peace, and priorities. You see, people often mistake a loyal man for a simple man. They think because he doesn't speak much, because he forgives easily, because he stays when others leave, he must be weak. But that's the first psychological fact folks overlook. Loyalty doesn't come from weakness. Loyalty comes from wounds. A loyal man isn't loyal because life has been easy for him. No, he's loyal because he knows what it feels like to be left, to be lied to be broken, and still rise with love in his hands instead of bitterness in his heart. When you meet a man like that, you're not meeting someone who's soft. You're meeting someone who's been tested in the fire and still chose to carry kindness. You're meeting someone who's walked through betrayal and came out the other side, still willing to give. That doesn't make him foolish. That makes him rare. That makes him powerful because in a world where people wear masks, play games, and switch sides when it's convenient, this man chooses consistency. He chooses to keep his word even when it's not easy. He chooses to protect your name even when you're not in the room. He chooses to stay, to build, to believe. But here's the thing you must understand. When you hurt that kind of man, you don't just break trust. You break the very part of him he gave you that no one else had access to. And once that part is shattered, it's not easy to put it back together. Because he didn't love from the surface, he loved from the soul. He didn't give you attention, he gave you intention. And when you turn that kind of depth into disappointment, it leaves a scar. Not one you can see, but one that changes the way he sees the world. You see, when a loyal man gets hurt, he doesn't go around blaming others. He doesn't curse your name or seek revenge. No, he goes quiet. He reflects. He questions everything, not just you, but himself. How did I not see this coming? What did I miss? And that inner dialogue becomes a war zone because his loyalty didn't come cheap. It was built through pain, through patience, through self-denial. And now it feels like it was thrown away like it meant nothing. And the hard truth is that loyal man will never be the same again. Psychologically, once a man like that is betrayed, he rewires. He doesn't just heal, he changes. Not because he wants to, but because pain forces growth. It forces boundaries. It forces distance. It forces a kind of maturity that says, I can't keep giving to people who drain me. That man learns to guard his heart without hardening it. He learns to observe more and speak less. He learns that love, while beautiful, must be earned, not just felt. But even after all that, he still doesn't hate you. Isn't that something? He doesn't wish you pain. He doesn't hope you fall. He simply understands now. He sees clearer in that clarity. That's what you feel when he no longer chases. That's what stings when he no longer answers. That's what haunts you when his presence becomes a memory. Because deep down you know he was real. And you know you can't replace that kind of soul with noise and novelty. So the next time you look into the eyes of a man who stands by you, even when you give him reasons not to honor that, protect that. Because loyal men are not born every day. And when they walk away, they don't come back. Not because they stopped loving, but because they finally started loving themselves. And that's when you realize the most painful goodbye isn't the one that's spoken out loud. It's the one where a loyal man who once would have moved mountains for you just stops and walks away. There's something you need to understand about a loyal man. When he's been hurt, he won't always scream. He won't argue or beg for clarity. No. What he does is far more powerful than any outburst. He goes silent. And that silence, That's not weakness. That's not indifference. That's the loudest goodbye you'll ever hear. You see, the world has conditioned us to pay attention to noise. We notice the one who yells, the one who slams the door, the one who sends long messages filled with anger and confusion. But a loyal man, he's different. He knows that his energy is sacred. His peace is valuable. And once you show him that you can't be trusted with his heart, he chooses something that cuts deeper than confrontation distance. Because silence to a loyal man is not just the absence of words, it's the presence of wisdom. It's his way of saying, I see you clearly now. When he was loyal, he was all in. He defended you. He forgave when it hurt. He stayed when it didn't make sense. But when you cross that line, when you betray the very heart that stood in your corner, he doesn't need to shout to show you he's done. He lets silence speak. And I promise you this, that silence will echo louder than any fight ever could. Because a loyal man's silence is not cold. It's calculated. It's rooted in reflection. It's shaped by all the nights he stayed up wondering what he did wrong, all the times he swallowed his own hurt to protect your feelings, all the moments he ignored his intuition just to keep the peace. So when he finally stops responding when the calls go unanswered and the messages are left unread, it's not petty, it's closure. It's him finally understanding that peace is better than pretending. There's a psychological shift that happens inside a man when he's been hurt by someone he gave his all to. It's not immediate. At first, he'll try to fix it. He'll ask questions. He'll hold on. But once he realizes that the loyalty he gave is not the loyalty he received, something changes. He detaches. And not emotionally at first, but spiritually, he starts to see the difference between love and attachment, between effort and manipulation. And he chooses freedom over frustration. He chooses clarity over chaos. What's wild is that most people don't even notice it right away. They think he's just being distant. They think he's acting different. But no, he's just healing in silence. He's just protecting the last pieces of himself before they're gone, too. Because a loyal man doesn't want revenge. He doesn't want to destroy your name. He just wants to reclaim the parts of himself he lost, trying to love you, right? And one day it hits you. When the silence stretches too long, when the absence becomes real, you realize he's not coming back, and it hurts because you thought his loyalty meant he'd always be there. But that's the thing. Even loyalty has a limit. And once a loyal man gets quiet, he's not waiting for you to return. He's giving you space to see what you lost. Let me tell you that silence is sacred. It's where he remembers who he is. It's where he rebuilds his strength. It's where he stops trying to prove his worth and starts walking in it. And by the time you realize what his silence really meant, he's already found peace. He's already moved on. And no matter what you say or do, he's not that same man anymore. So, if you ever find yourself on the receiving end of a loyal man's silence, don't mistake it for confusion. You don't think he's lost. No, he's never been more clear. He just finally realized that love should never cost him his voice. When a loyal man is hurt, something happens inside of him that most people can't even begin to understand. It's not just the emotional wound that cuts deep at something more. It's a neurological shift, a rewiring of the brain. See, betrayal isn't just a blow to the heart. It's a blow to the mind. And once a loyal man is betrayed, the very way he processes love, trust, and even his own self-worth changes. You have to understand the power of trust and loyalty in the brain. When a person invests deeply in someone emotionally and mentally, their brain releases dopamine, the chemical that makes us feel good, the chemical that helps us bond. That's why love feels so right. That's why loyalty feels so natural. But when betrayal comes into the picture, that dopamine gets replaced with something else, something much darker. It's called cortisol. the stress hormone. And when that hits, the brain goes into a state of alert. It enters survival mode. Now, for a loyal man, this is profound. He didn't just give you his time and energy, he gave you pieces of himself. He gave you access to his most vulnerable parts, his innermost thoughts, and his faith in you. That wasn't a small thing. It wasn't a casual gesture. And when you hurt him, his brain by creating emotional scars that reshape how he will trust and love moving forward. The trust he once gave so freely becomes harder to offer. His love becomes more cautious. His heart becomes more guarded. This is the part that's so often misunderstood. When a loyal man experiences betrayal, he doesn't just walk away wounded, he walks away wiser. He starts seeing people and situations differently. Where once he believed in the goodness of others, now he measures each person's actions with a new lens. This isn't him being cold, this isn't him becoming bitter, this is him adapting. His brain is rewiring to protect him from being hurt the same way again. Psychologically speaking, the brain doesn't forget betrayal easily. The emotional trauma of being hurt by someone you've been loyal to leaves an imprint that's hard to erase. This imprint tells the brain to be more cautious, more self-preserving. And while it's painful at first, it's a survival mechanism. It's the brain's way of ensuring that the same mistake doesn't happen twice. It's the brain saying, next time, pay attention. Next time, guard your heart. And when a loyal man heals from this, it's not just his heart that mends, it's his mind. He becomes someone who has learned the value of boundaries, the importance of protecting his energy, and the need to keep a part of himself reserved for his own well-being. What's powerful about this is that it doesn't make him less of a man. It doesn't make him any weaker. In fact, it makes him stronger. He doesn't carry his pain around like a badge of honor, but he doesn't ignore it either. He's learned that emotional wounds don't have to define him. They can teach him. They can lead him to a deeper understanding of who he is and what he's truly worthy of. You see, when a loyal man is hurt, his love doesn't disappear. It just transforms. It becomes more deliberate, more mindful. He doesn't open his heart to just anyone. He doesn't trust easily. But when he does, it's even more powerful than before. Because now, it's not out of desperation. It's not because he's trying to prove anything. It's because he chooses to love, not out of need, but out of strength. So don't think that when a loyal man pulls back, he's given up on love. He's just learned to love enough to know for not every person deserves access to his soul. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a sign of growth. It's a sign that he's not just surviving anymore. He is thriving, protecting himself in ways he couldn't before. And when he loves again, he does it with a heart that's stronger, a mind that's clearer, and a sense of self-worth that can't be shaken. Once a loyal man has been hurt, he doesn't let his pain consume him. He doesn't let it define him, but it changes him deeply. And in that change, he becomes someone who understands the true value of love, of trust, and of himself. And that man, the one who's been through the fire and come out stronger, doesn't just survive betrayal, he learns to rise from it. When a loyal man is hurt, he doesn't just walk away from the situation. No. What he does is something far more profound. He learns to forgive. But let me make something clear. Forgiveness for a loyal man does not mean an open invitation to return. It doesn't mean you get a free pass to hurt him again. Forgiveness in his eyes is not a bridge that gets rebuilt for you to cross again. It's the quiet realization that he no longer needs the weight of resentment on his heart. Forgiving you doesn't make him weak. It makes him wise. He understands something most people never do, holding on to the pain. Carrying that burden of anger and bitterness only eats away at him. And while it's true that forgiveness can set him free, it doesn't always mean he's opening the door to let you back in. You see, the loyal man's forgiveness is a gift to himself, not to you. It's a way for him to free himself from the shackles of resentment that might otherwise hold him hostage. But once that freedom is earned, it doesn't automatically lead to reconciliation. Now, here's where things get real. The loyal man understands that love is not a one-time thing. It's not something you just give and forget. Love takes work. It takes consistency. It takes effort. And when you've been hurt by someone who once gave all that to you, there's a point where forgiveness is the only thing that keeps him from becoming bitter. But that doesn't mean he's going to allow you back into his life the same way as before. No. He's learned that love is not always about being in the same room, sharing the same space. Sometimes love is about learning to let go. When a loyal man forgives, he doesn't just do it for your sake. He does it for his own peace. It's a quiet form of self-respect. A realization that holding on to the past only keeps him chained to something that no longer serves him. And as he forgives, he learns to move forward, not with bitterness, but with clarity. He understands now that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means accepting. It means understanding that while what you did hurt him, he's stronger now. He's more aware of his own worth. He doesn't need your validation, your approval, or your presence to continue his journey. Because that's what loyalty teaches him, that his worth is not defined by anyone else. His value doesn't come from your love. It comes from within. And here's the kicker. When a loyal man forgives, he doesn't give you permission to keep hurting him. Forgiveness doesn't equal access. It doesn't mean he'll allow you back into his heart the way he once did. It means he's letting go of the need for revenge, for constant pain, for the endless cycle of disappointment. It means he's choosing his own peace, his own healing over the brokenness of holding on to the past. But that doesn't mean he's waiting for you. No, he's healing, he's growing. And he's becoming someone stronger than before. And if you come back with apologies, with promises, with pleas to fix what you broke, he may hear you, but he won't necessarily allow you to pick up where you left off. He's learned too much. He's learned that some people can't be trusted with his heart the same way again. And so, he builds a new life, one that's full of wisdom and self-love. He doesn't need you to be a part of it, and he doesn't need to prove anything to you. He's simply moving forward. Not because he's forgotten you, but because he's learned that his happiness doesn't rely on anyone but himself. The painful truth is this. When a loyal man forgives, he doesn't wait for a second chance. He doesn't sit by the phone hoping you'll come back and fix things. No, he lets go. Not because he's given up on love, but because he's learned that love can't be forced. It can't be earned through guilt or promises. Love for him is a choice. And once he forgives, he moves on. His heart may still have a scar, but that scar reminds him that he's been through something and come out the other side stronger. It's a reminder that love is not about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go. So, if you ever find yourself on the receiving end of a loyal man's forgiveness, understand this. You're not being given another chance to hurt him. You're being given the gift of his peace. And once he's found it, you can't take it away again. That peace is his, and it's the most powerful thing he's ever chosen for himself. When a loyal man has been hurt, one of the most powerful things you'll notice is the transformation in his boundaries. Before the hurt, he may have given people the benefit of the doubt, believing that those he trusted would never betray him. He may have been open, vulnerable, willing to share the deepest parts of himself with those he loved. But once that loyalty is broken, something shifts. Those boundaries that were once fluid, once open, now become firm, unmovable walls. And it's not because he's become hard-hearted, it's because he's learned the cost of trusting too freely. The key thing here is this. A loyal man's boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about protecting the peace he's worked so hard to reclaim. When trust is betrayed, it's like a crack in the foundation of a house that once felt safe. And once that crack appears, he can't simply ignore it and pretend everything is fine. He has to rebuild. He has to reinforce those boundaries because he knows now that his peace is something worth guarding. He knows that if he lets people back into his life without careful consideration, he risks losing the very thing he fought to regain. What people often misunderstand is that when a loyal man starts setting boundaries, it's not about punishing anyone. It's not about seeking revenge or creating distance out of spite. No, it's about self-preservation. It's about understanding that his emotional space is sacred, and not everyone deserves to occupy it. His boundaries are not just walls, they're shields. They're his way of saying, I will never allow myself to be hurt this way again. And that's a powerful thing because when a loyal man sets boundaries, he does it with the understanding that he can't keep giving away pieces of himself without getting something in return. He can't continue to pour into relationships where there's no mutual respect, no mutual trust, no reciprocity. And so he begins to guard himself, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. He understands that his energy is precious, that his love should be cherished, not taken for granted. And if someone can't honor that, he'll step back, not because he doesn't care, but because he values himself too much to tolerate disrespect. Now, you may think that this change in behavior, this shift towards setting boundaries, means that he's becoming distant or cold, but that couldn't be further from the truth. What's actually happening is that he's learning to love himself better. He's learning that self-care isn't about isolation. It's about knowing his worth and not settling for less than he deserves. And as he builds these new walls, he's not saying goodbye to love. He's saying goodbye to the kind of love that demands sacrifice without appreciation, the kind of love that takes without giving, the kind of love that hurts him more than it heals him. This doesn't mean he's rejecting everyone. No, he's simply becoming more selective about who he lets into his life. He's no longer willing to offer his loyalty to just anyone. Now, loyalty must be earned. Trust must be shown through actions, not words. And if you're lucky enough to be someone who earns that trust again, you'll find that the loyal man's love is deeper, stronger, and more purposeful than ever before. But if you betray him once, you'll quickly realize that the loyalty he once gave freely is now a treasure that requires patience, understanding, and genuine effort to receive. The truth is, once a loyal man has been hurt, he'll never again give that loyalty away without a sense of caution. His heart may still be open, but his eyes are wide open too. He's learned that some people are not ready for the depth of love and trust he's willing to offer, and he's no longer afraid to walk away from relationships that don't serve him. He's learned to trust his instincts. And when those instincts tell him that someone isn't worthy of his time, his energy, his heart, he will distance himself not to hurt you, but to protect himself. And let's be clear, this isn't a bad thing. This is growth. This is strength. It's the kind of strength that comes from understanding that you are worthy of respect, that you are worthy of love, and that you deserve to be treated with the same loyalty you give. When a loyal man sets boundaries, he's not being selfish or unkind, he's being wise. He's understanding that to continue to give his all without receiving the same in return will only leave him empty. So, if you find that a loyal man has drawn a line in the sand, understand that it's not a sign that he's shutting you out forever. It's a sign that he values himself too much to continue investing in something that isn't mutual. And if you want to find your way back into his life, you'll need to show him that you've earned that right. You'll need to prove through consistent actions and deep respect that you can be trusted with. The person he's become, someone who knows his worth, knows his value, and isn't afraid to protect it. Once he sets those boundaries, don't expect him to lower them easily. He's learned the hard way that the price of loyalty is higher than most people realize, and he's not willing to pay that price again unless it's worth it. It's not just something to hear, it's something to live, apply, and become. Thank you for listening, and subscribe, comment on the channel.